2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Am I damaging my relationship with my kids by holding boundaries with my ex?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, what's going on?
Just eating a banana here.
All right. Powering up with a good breakfast, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Powering up with a good breakfast. Hey, really quick shout out to the Total Package. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday.
So just want to shout out to her.
The Total Package is our sister Lindsay, by the way, for people who are listening. But
it's a very unique nickname.
It's a unique name, but that's basically growing up. Like, she was nicknamed. I think Dad gave her the nickname. Like, we were talking about how, like, what boys she was going to date or whatever, and basically how she was the total package.
Talk about pressure.
No kidding. Living up to some serious pressure there.
Yeah, Dad would always say, "Oh, Lindsay's
the total package. Like, she's got it all." You know,
which he's not wrong, but yeah, it might have given her some pressure. So,
she is the total package.
She is, and she's a great sister, and I just hope she has an awesome birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Pac.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a good friend of ours here today. Someone we know well, and somebody who is just a warrior for truth, and he's awesome. So we're really happy to have him here and excited to get into the topic. But Adam, I just wanted to ask you, so Adam has come to our Rising Sun. I think you might have come to the first one.
The first Bear Lake one.
Or second one?
Yeah, the 22. So I think you had a 21 before that.
Nice. Just talk about your experience a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I guess I should, say that I was a recipient of your guys' at the time offer to come out and have it covered because of our first time of getting together. So, that was a great benefit to me. First of all, your guys' kindness of being able to offer that. So, for me, the experience was, I don't want to be over dramatic, but life changing from just who I was trying to become. Right. in our first episode, I was a wreck. If we go back and remember, lots of tears, lots of inability to really not just take full responsibility for everything that had gone on up to that point, just in my life and marriage and everything. So, but Rising Suns kind of gives you that perspective of, one, being accepted for who you are and that you're on a journey, and you don't have to continue to really beat yourself up from a shame perspective, in order to get into healing. But it also helped me on that journey of, I know you guys talk a lot about it, sobriety versus recovery. Really before that point, I thought just stopping whatever I was doing was the point, right? Rather than actually understanding why I use it and who I was trying to become and all of those types of things. Mm-hmm. So Rising Suns really opened you up to that perspective. And then creating a community of men has been the most important benefit and blessing, or, from that retreat. Still in high contact with everybody from that 2022 retreat and some of the others before then. So I know as far as recovery and trying to find who I needed to become, the community of men that I've found and rely on and for myself and being able to offer, love and assistance for them as well has been key to continued recovery and, continued to wanting to work out on my own issues and look at myself differently, feel differently about who I am, and love myself really as my understanding now of how God loves me and not how I looked at how he loved me before. So those are the biggest things that I learned from it. And just, there was a lot of spiritual experiences, just a lot of love and vulnerability, at the retreat. So,
Adam, I just got to say, like you did, it sounds like you got a lot from it, but Adam is somebody who he talks about that support. He has been an asset to the men that he's been around and been a great support to the community. So he's definitely reciprocated and given back as well. And, it's men like that really make a big difference. So it's, thank goodness we invited you to that one because you've been awesome. So, and another side note, I'm with two guys probably the two guys in my life that like UFC the most. I'm sitting with right now. So, Tyler, who's your favorite fighter?
We could do a UFC. My favorite guy right now is Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah, Adam, what do you think of him?
Sandhagen's good. We'll see what he does in his championship opportunity.
He's gonna take the title in his next fight.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, speaking of fights, let's talk about your ex-wife. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But no, seriously, let's shift gears just a little bit. Adam, you want to kind of get into how to navigate working with your ex effectively and just work through some difficult things that you're dealing with that. If you could give some background and tell us what's going on, and we'll dig into it.
Yeah. So I think it's good to kind of go back. So, the first time we met, kind of in the middle of
you were in crisis
D-Day, well, at least one of the many, up to that point. But at that point, it was a pretty significant one. It made some, pretty poor decisions around, choices, and it had caused, a lot of chaos, a lot of fear, not only myself, but in my family and at the time, my wife, which, I fully understand, that. So kind of went into that and then had hopes that, by starting down a real recovery journey versus just stopping doing whatever behavior that, could get to a place where, the marriage was saved. But that didn't happen. So even in between, I think we talked, I hadn't been divorced yet.
Right.
Again, and there was some more follow-up there. So since then, we've, the divorce has finalized. It's been over a year and a half now. I don't live in Texas any longer. I live in Utah. So moved back to Utah, where my daughter now lives in Lehigh. So, that's where I'm at. And so it has been interesting as far as trying to navigate allowing the family to move to Utah, and then remain in Texas kind of alone. Not really family or a real support system around, and then trying to find a new job that could get me to Utah. Through the divorce process, that was the amount of emotions and ups and downs that I felt throughout that process. A lot of the self-doubt was pretty significant to kind of do it alone. Not necessarily I have, the men I could reach out to and did, as much as I could, but there was a significant time where I had to just spend alone. And those emotions, the depression, the shame and the doubt and just battling all of those things was significant, right? And my current job at the time suffered. I was a manager at the time of a team, and the team didn't necessarily perform very well, but it all suffered, right? So, but since then, been able to find a job, move up here, took a job that does pay a little bit less money than I had before, but it's enough for what I need for now. But after getting up here, it's been this interaction with my ex and I has kind of gone from, can we get along? Can we be friends? Let's do this and make it work for the kids. My son actually he's been on a mission, right? He's in a mission in Brazil. But since I've lived here in Utah, he's probably been on a mission. So the relationship with him is very different. It's not really that strained. It's mainly been, with my daughter. So, which I want to be a part of her life, but there's the custody agreements and,
how old?
She's 16. So sophomore going into her junior year at Skyridge. So, it's been a little bit of a balance trying to find a place to encourage her to come be with me, on the weekends or even when she chooses to. I think on my ex's side, she wants to push my daughter to be with me more, which I would be happy to do. But there's a little bit of strain there. There's where she feels I think she needs to be with her mom, not necessarily feel like she feels like her mom can be alone for a long, significant amount of time. So there's just this pull.
Like she's caretaking for her mom. Is that what you're saying?
I think so a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know if she would identify it as that. In this this summer, I was supposed to have her for 6 weeks. And had kind of pushed for that, but my daughter just wasn't interested in being with me that amount of time, right?
Okay.
And so I've always made it to, kind of a, this is what I'd like, this is what we've agreed on, but didn't really push the issue with her because she's 5 minutes down the road. Mm-hmm. And she had mentioned, well, mom says that, it'll be really hard if you're gone that long. What am I going to do while you're away? And so it pulls her back into that situation and makes her less likely to want to spend the time here, whether it's, boring or whatever, but it's that time. So, those types of things, so when my ex comes at me that I'm not spending enough time with my daughter, it's kind of, it gets into this, kind of digging back into my past, a little bit of name calling, a little bit of, you're this, you're that. And that's when I have to take that's when I take boundaries. I'll cut off communication at that point and say, I don't have conversations like this where I'm going to be name called or, shamed in any way, around this process. So it leads into, well, you don't want to talk to these things. I want to sit down and talk with you. And I continue to reiterate that, in order for that to happen, things have to change as far as how she interacts with me. And so there's statements of you're missing out on her, and things that she's doing and who she is, and you don't know anything going on. So again, and I continue to have to hold boundaries around those types of things to try to maintain my peace. But I always fall back into these doubting positions where I'm like, is it too much, right? Am I not compromising enough? Can I let go of certain things? I continue to get accused of being angry at her, hating her, my ex, right? Which is not true, right? It's just during our marriage, I never really stood up for myself or really held any boundaries, just kind of always went along to get along, very known as a very nice guy, right? Very easy to work with.
You're the punching bag?
To some degree, but very, very compromising. And, that's where I realized I used pornography to maintain that, calmness, right? Things get too out of control. I would turn to it, kind of calm back down, and then, be able to continue to be, and show up and do what I felt like I was being asked to. So now that I'm having boundaries and not wanting to be spoken to in a certain way, right? I get accused of being mean, that I hate, and these types of things, which is really not true. So, at least from my perspective. But, I still wonder if taking such a significant position is possibly damaging the relationship. And with my daughter, I think to some degree it is, because she can see we're not getting along, and she'll make statements of that, right? Why can't you and mom get along? It would be easier if you guys could get along, that type of stuff. So, so that's just kind of where I'm at, right? It continues to come up over and over again, a little bit of name calling, and I'll have to hold those boundaries over and over and over. For my own peace and safety is what I've told myself in my head. But am I over justifying that? Have it taken it too far? Right? Am I digging in too much?
What are the boundaries? Like, is it just what you explained, that you say, hey, we can talk later, we're just not going to talk when we're calling names? Or like, what's the actual boundaries that you're setting?
Just, if we're having a conversation, it's usually through text or something. It's, bringing up my past a lot to kind of hit me with that, or, accusing me of being, this or that, right?
That's what she's doing. What are your boundaries?
That when that starts to happen, I don't continue on with the conversation. I mean, I've found myself a few times getting into a back and forth with her, and then it never ends well, from there. Right. Mm-hmm. So I just find it's better for me just to cut it off and just say, I feel she will tell me that, when are you going to step into co-parenting with me? When are you going to do a better job? And I've just said, when you treat me as an equal, when you see me as an equal and you treat me as an equal, when we get together and have a conversation about our daughter, it's not, you've already made your mind up about what needs to happen, and you just need to get me on the same page, quote unquote, right? If you're not going to ask my opinion, if you're not going to, get my feedback, you're just coming into a situation saying, this is what we should be doing with her, and I need you to see it that way. And when I have a different opinion, it kind of, the last couple of times it has escalated into, her leaving, just, standing up and leaving. So my boundary is I need to be treated as an equal in our co-parenting, process, in decision-making, around our daughter.
Adam, so. I have some questions for you. So, and I want you to answer as honest as you can. Okay.
No promises.
So independent of her, of your ex, let's remove your ex from the equation just for a second. Just remove her. Okay. I have two questions, and it's your perspective and your daughter's perspective. Are you doing a good job as stepping up as a dad for your daughter, independent of your ex? Just what you think, how you feel. Do you feel at peace with how you're showing up as a dad for her?
I do.
Okay.
Do think there's some improvement, right? As far as my relationship with my daughter, I know she deals with a little bit more of authoritarian attitude from her mom's side, punishment and, for, if you're
Do
not
you notice you're going
doing
right? You're going right to your ex.
I am.
Right?
And so I have balanced.
Independent of her, is Adam a good
Yeah.
parent for his daughter? What do you think?
Right. So for me, overall, I try to provide a place of peace for her in this
Okay.
home,
Okay.
provide, the input for her on, when she is staying with me, what, would she like to be doing? What can we do? Try to do things together. If that's possible. I mean, she is 16 and wants to hang out with her friends and boyfriend and
Right.
that, but allowing for, though that to be, a place where she gets to make decisions, right? And my rules are just, let me know where you're going to be, tell me if you're going to be late, right? And we can kind of work through those. It's not much more than that. Now, so, as far
So hang on, Adam. So overall, you feel good about how you're showing up for her.
yeah,
Okay.
I want her to be more open with me, about her life and things. I think there's a little bit of a strain there.
Mm-hmm.
But I continue to try to encourage her and let her know that she can talk to me about anything and things like that. But you've yet to see that openness a little
So
bit, but not a lot.
so
So
this is hard to distinguish because she's a 16-year-old girl, right?
right.
And so she's just like in certain stages. And Tyler last week was talking about his daughter and connecting to him, and I have teenage girls as well. And but the like, if she could give feedback and say, if I were to ask her like, hey, does your dad love you and does he show up for you? Like, is he really showing up as a dad for you? And if she could be really honest or vulnerable with me, what type of feedback or what do you think she'd say?
I think she would say yes as far as that being our relationship.
Okay. So
Right.
she's a 16-year-old, she's doing her thing, but overall, like, dad has my back, dad loves me, dad provides safety, he protects me. So then along comes your ex. Let's get back to the ex. Along comes the ex and says, "You're failing. You
Yeah.
suck. You're not showing up good enough. You're not." Whatever her feedback is, right?
Yeah.
So if there's some guilt or something going on inside of you, then your ex is going to have a lot of power.
Yeah. And it's still there.
Right?
25 of years of being marriage takes a long time to I think, root out not being affected by those type of comments. Because, I am at heart a people pleaser, right? I want to be liked and,
Yeah.
accepted. And so it has been really hard for me to hold boundaries, right? But I do still think it's important. And so this is the place, am I digging in too much?
Well, you will dig in too much if you're reacting from a place of shame and fear. You'll step into your power with love and compassion for your ex-wife if you're at peace with how you're showing up as a man and as a father, right? So, did you have a comment, Tyler? I think I cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was actually wondering, another question that goes along with that is, I wonder if the question really isn't, am I digging in too much? I'm wondering if you're digging in enough in the right areas. And I wonder if you're digging in this area, thinking that it has to do with just your parenting too, when in reality, there's more to it than that. And let me just explore this with you with where Brannon was going for a second, Adam. Your ex-wife comes to you, says in essence, you not playing along with what I want and the way I want it is actually hindering your relationship with our daughter because now you're not as involved and now I'm left to do most of the parenting by myself and I want you to actually be more involved. She's actually telling you to come be more involved and you walk away feeling like I suck because of the way that it gets, but I also wonder if there's a bit of your Mr. Nice Guy that's actually coming out, take your ex-wife out of it again in your actual relationship with a teenage daughter, where you don't want to necessarily, like, if you're supposed to get her for 6 weeks, this is really, really difficult because she's 16. She should be able to choose where she wants to go. She feels this pressure and guilt to be with her mom and support. It's probably boring with dad. It's probably awkward with dad. It's probably weird being there because of the split and the lack of time you spend with her. And as a father who's also prone to be a Mr. Nice Guy, it can be really easy to just be like, you know what, why don't you just come over for the night this weekend? And then, yeah, you can go hang with your mom for another week, even though I'm supposed to be with you for this 6 weeks. I wonder if you're selling yourself short in the way that you're showing up with presence and structure for your daughter with what's already built into the arrangements. And I'm thinking of like Dr. Megan Meeker's stuff. She talks about this in the book Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, on how we as fathers with teenage daughters, there's like almost like an epidemic that as they get older into their teen years, they have a tendency to almost want to push us away and disconnect from us. And Dr. Megan Meeker says that that's part of the battle we have to fight, is to always still somehow remain relevant, to provide boundaries and acceptance and love and teaching to our daughters, even when it feels like they just as soon not have us around.
Hey, can I give an example? So like my daughter's, her curfew's midnight and she got home at like 12:20.
Ooh.
And and to her, she has a bunch of friends with no curfew.
Yeah.
And so like here I am, like 12:20 matters. Like it matters. And she's like, why does it matter? Why does it, and she's pissed at me. And I'm flexible. She texts me or whatever, but she's pissed at me. And in that moment when she's pissed at me, like she knows that I love her, I'll protect her, and I care about her. So both those things exist at the same time. And what Tyler's talking about with this Mr. Nice Guy, it's same thing with a wife, right? Same thing in a marriage in my masculinity, with my healthy masculinity, to stand in that discomfort of being not liked is stepping up for them and for her, right? So is that what you're saying, Tyler?
Yeah, like another example of this. So like this happened last year with my youngest daughter. She's the one daughter who likes to go do the same kinds of things that I like, with like hunting, things like that. But last year, as she's getting older, she's got friends, she got some FOMO, she doesn't want to miss out. We'd set this date to go on the elk hunt together for 3 days. And the day before, she was doing everything in her power not to go. Like she had plans with her friends. She wanted to do other stuff for the weekend. She didn't really want to go anymore. And I just kind of held the line and just said, you know what? Like we've already made plans. We're going to have some good time together. I'd really love to spend the time with you. And we're going to go do this. And I fought her, got her out there basically the whole first day hiking up the mountain. She's just like trudging with her head down, like bitter and angry to be there. No phone, nothing there. And on the third day, she's sitting in a camp chair around the fire. And she finally starts opening up and talking and going like, Dad, like, I'm so glad I'm here right now. Like, man, it feels so good not to have my phone with me, and I can just feel like myself just getting grounded, and I'm not as anxious anymore, and we've had so much fun, and I've really enjoyed doing this. And I'm sitting here thinking, the fight that it took to get you here is now actually worth it, even though you couldn't see it for 3 days. But I had to be the one to hold the structure and the framing to say, no, this is good. We need to spend time with each other. We need to go have these shared experiences together. I know it's awkward. I know you'd rather be with your friends. I know you don't like being off your phone for 3 days. All of that stuff does matter. And it's my job as your dad to help provide those things even when you may not want those things. And I'm sitting here and I'm wondering if there's a daughter inside of your daughter that's stuck being torn between two parents, and you're doing a good job trying to let her make her choices, but she doesn't even know all of the goodness that you can give to her because you're not I wonder if you could just be not like Beauty and the Beast, like you will have dinner with me, but like somewhere between where you're at and they're saying, hey, like this is uncomfortable, this is hard, but I love you and I have a lot to offer you, and we have to spend time with each other to build a relationship with each other. And that's independent of mom,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mean to be lecturing too much, Adam. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. It, it's been a bit of a catch-up game for me because I spent nearly 9 months just in Texas, right?
Uh,
Away. And so she would fly down, or I would drive up here once a month, try to, and just, be available. Didn't really have a place to stay, or, I would get maybe an Airbnb and try to do something with her, things like that. But, she has mentioned that, it's weird. You were gone for so long, didn't have that, steady. So
Yeah.
now it's trying to get back to that place. And I thought, she's a wrestler, so that was is a big part of her life, right? So, which I've wrestled, I coached her as a young girl, and so coming back to Utah, that was a great opportunity for us to connect, and
Cool.
became the part of the high school team as a coach, and help with the youth team, and could take her to camps and all those types of things. So that was going well, and then we were starting to do things like for her birthday, she jumped off on a rope swing in Moab, right?
Awesome.
I got her to do that. And so, but I think something this last winter, she wanted to go skiing, so we took her skiing. And she had an accident, right? While she was with me, and fractured her vertebrae.
Oh gosh.
Serious accident.
So it kind of put it set us backwards, I think, a little bit. I me personally felt like we were in a good space. We were starting to do things, together. And now she has this injury, so now her wrestling is at risk. Like, she hasn't wrestled for 7 months. We're in recovery. Thank goodness that the fracture wasn't at the spinal cord level, but it still was pretty significant. Crushed her fifth, L5 vertebrae. So she's, been in a brace. For me, it put me back to the shame. It put me back to the shame pretty quickly.
You blame yourself. And your ex blamed you, right?
Yeah. Not at first, though. That all came later, right? It was an accident and whatever. But we're getting back to a better place. Take her to physical therapy. We have started to introduce wrestling again, just very lightly, drilling once a week type of a deal. And there is a path that it's, that she'll get back to it, but it's still in question.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like another setback.
So I just want to come back to, it's another setback from connecting because wrestling was so important, right? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And then, my daughter and I were starting to do things that she wanted to do, right? To experience. We were doing those things together. And
Right. But Adam, also it's, and I know it might not feel this way, but it's also a massive opportunity as a dad with her.
Yeah.
And I think, when your ex comes along and handles it in certain ways, this way or that way or whatever, it is very important that you have boundaries with your ex. But what I'd ask you to consider is that boundaries are boundaries are internal more than they are external. So
Yeah.
when you dig in and you make these hard lines of, I won't talk to you or this or that, or that's all fine, and that's where you need to be coming out of the marriage that you were in. But when I say they're more internal than external, what do you hear me saying?
Well, it's for my peace, right? If I feel my emotions getting out of control, right? The boundaries are set so that I don't get out of control, right? So that I can continue within my own belief of who I want to be or who I am, right?
Well, kind of. Yeah. So like, let me see if I can explain this. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. They look at boundaries as just, you can't cross that line right there, and if you do, I'm going to have a boundary. But like, if Tyler said to me, "Hey, Brannon, you suck," he could say that to me, and if I don't know where he stops and I begin, then he has the power to define me. I go, okay, like, I don't know what to do. I got to fix this. I got a lot of fear, like, right? But if I know where he stops and I begin, with him saying I suck, guess who that's about?
Well, it's about them.
Well, it's about him.
It's about how the world makes sense to them.
Yeah, and he's just giving me feedback that, he's giving me his perspective of the world. I'm not taking it personal at all. And so because of that, then do you see how I have a boundary? My boundary is myself. I know who I am. Therefore, he can have these opinions. He can say these things. I'm not going to internalize those things. Now, I might say to him, I still might say, hey, I really want to hear you. I want to communicate with respect. So if you're going to call me names, I can't have this conversation. But I'd be happy to discuss how you're feeling. Right. So do you see how now I've made an external boundary more with him of like, I'm not going to have this conversation with you like that when you're saying you suck. But I also am standing on my own 2 feet knowing who I am. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying, Adam?
I feel like the peace is probably what causes a little bit of the pull within me personally is I don't offer that second piece. I'll hold the boundary. Say, I don't like that you're talking and saying those things to me, so I'm done talking.
And you know what that communicates, Adam? And it's where you're at. It communicates. So Tyler and I talk about the swing of the pendulum with Mr. Nice Guys a lot, where it's like, I'm a doormat, like, I'll take it, tell me how horrible I am, to F you. Like, I got the power now. I'm done with you. We're divorced now, so like, I can shut this down. And what that communicates to her is, one, that she still has a lot of power in the relationship with you. And two, that you're weak, that you're showing up that second part that I just showed you, that's the vulnerable part. That's the part where you're like, I got enough strength to deal with this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you can see it, and you can step into this, Adam. You can do this.
So Brannon, what you're saying though is that Adam's boundaries with his ex aren't necessarily in the wrong place. It's the energy in addition to those boundaries that needs to be looked at in terms of, and here's what I'm hearing is that the communication somehow goes away from being about your daughter to being about old wounds that your ex is still feeling, and then you become privy to with your own shame. Mm-hmm. And then you never actually get to have the discussion about the daughter and how to be a more engaged and active and equal parent. Mm-hmm. And that's what Brannon's trying to say is, with the way that the boundaries are what might be getting in your way is you don't get the after part of the boundary to say, nevertheless, let's talk about parenting here. And if she's like, well, you did this, and then at that point, you kind of have to follow through on the boundary and be like, dang it, I'll be picking her up for this weekend.
I'm willing to talk about.
Is.
I'm willing to talk about parenting. That's what we set out to talk about. If you can't talk about parenting and we can't keep it there, then I can't continue this conversation. Now that looks like you're doing what you're doing, right? Like that's what you're doing, right, Adam?
Well, it's different for me. It's been, I want you to look at me as an equal, right? It's different. Like
there. It is.
I'm looking at it the wrong way. Instead of being like, I want to talk about parenting, our daughter and how to best do that. It's, you need to respect me as an equal. Right? So I'm driving more for how she views me or what my behaviors may or may not be. And so I'm looking for that as the sign for releasing my boundaries rather than, the goal is to have effective discussion about our daughter.
Go ahead, Brannon.
Well, you just described something that's outside of your control. Like her viewing you as an equal. Do you see how you don't know where she stops and you begin?
Right.
You're needing her to view you as that's her. She gets to decide how she's going to view you, right? Yeah. So
I'm wondering too, Adam, and this kind of comes back to some of my original questions inside of this. I actually like where you're going. There's something in, I gotta admit this. Like I like the fire I see in you about wanting to be a parent.
Hell yeah.
Like there's too many fathers that are freaking sitting on the sideline in a situation like yours that just kind of drift off into the shadows and leave their kids hanging for the rest of their lives. And the fact that you want to be treated as an equal parent, I don't want you to let go of that at all. I got the fire burning in me because I see it in you and I love it. Now, the trick is I'm demanding that she treats me like an equal parent. I want to know, what is Adam doing to treat Adam like an equal parent in the relationship right now?
That's what's in your control.
How are you showing up where you're treating yourself like you deserve to be an equal parent inside the relationship? Because frankly, that's what your daughter needs. She needs your presence. She doesn't need you on the sidelines. Even if you're worried that, and by the way, that whole thing about taking her skiing, like this is really, really tough. I've told my daughters this a million times. You're telling that story. I remember being in Sam's Club when my daughter was like a little 3 or 4 year old and we were playing tag in Sam's Club. My wife was like all mad at me already because we're running around causing a distraction. And then my daughter runs by me and I try to scoop her up with one arm and she's like laughing her head off. And I grabbed her too low and I flipped her over and knocked her 2 front teeth out. And then in the aftermath, what does that feel like as a father?
Oh.
Like, oh my gosh, I just hurt my kid. I should never have done that. Guess what? Dads are supposed to play rough with their kids. Dads are supposed to take their kids to the ski slopes and let them get obliterated by the heel. Dads are supposed to wrestle with their kids and get some bumps and bruises once in a while. Now, should I have been a little bit wiser in what I was doing? Yes. But too many guys then are told, you're too dangerous. You shouldn't do those things. You failed as a parent. When in reality, you were on the ski slopes right where you should have been with your daughter.
Amen to that.
And kids get obliterated sometimes, and that's as it should be.
Yeah.
So I would just say it's a difficult place because you feel shame over seeing their pain, and you feel shame over the decisions, and maybe you feel responsibility, but that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you be wiser next time, right? But you couldn't have done anything about that. That's what happens when you go skiing.
Yeah. You realize as I look back, I tried to be as safe as possible and encourage, her, and it was a moment, right, that got away. So, which I'm okay with now, but it's easier to be that way because she's not paralyzed.
Right. But if you let your shame eat you alive like that, you will never be able to have the strength to step in the way we're talking, because that shame's going to constantly just keep gnawing at you and eating at you.
But Adam, there's also the other added element of your trauma with your son. So like that definitely
massive
is playing a part in how you're feeling about what happened with her. And so for you to stop and just really care for yourself and give yourself some compassion and things like that is really important around this situation with your daughter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, it's been good to get back into, taking her to physical therapy, being there and involved in that, twice a week and, hopefully getting back to wrestling. But again, I know I'm going to have to work on, the possibility that she may not go back to wrestling, may not be able to do it. Right. And what does that mean? I was using, wrestling was an easy way for us to connect, right? Because it's an important part of who I've always been. And, so there's some work that I'm going to have to do around that.
That sucks. I mean, that just sucks. Like you were bonding, she was getting into it, and along comes this injury. But
thank goodness she will be fully functional for her life, right?
yeah,
The injury, we were able to avoid surgery because it was touch and go there for a while. But she does everything that any teenager would want to do in their life as far as interacting socially and, all that type of shit. Doesn't have to walk around with a brace anymore and things like that. So I know that, God has taken care of her in that way.
yeah.
Adam, there's been a lot of emotion that's been underlying. Like the undercurrent is there's some deep emotion that's been coming up for the last 40 minutes while we've been talking. What can you speak to what that is? Like what is it?
I'm just an emotional guy.
I know.
I don't think there's an
Something
episode.
I love about you.
I don't think there's an episode that I've done that doesn't draw emotion.
Yeah. What is it today?
It's just wanting to be a good dad.
Yeah.
One thing, if I can just say this, I feel like I know you pretty well, Adam. We've been through some things together, and I've seen you in some pretty vulnerable states. And to be a good dad, you know what the answer is to that? Do you know how you be a good dad?
Do I know the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just be a good dad, right?
But
you just do what you know that you should do as a father. Love your kids unconditionally.
I love that unconditional love, and I don't love the should, because what you need to be a good dad is to be you, Adam. Your daughter needs you, and not what your ex-wife tells you that you should be in order to show up for her. Not what anyone like. You are her dad for a reason, and you're awesome, and you're amazing, and she's blessed to have you, specifically you. And so the more you can strengthen yourself, the more you can love yourself, the more you can show up healthily boundaried in your truths, and not in fear and control, the better dad you are, because you're just showing up as you. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 Could I just run through something really quickly back to the Dr. Megan Meeker stuff on strong fathers, strong daughters? Adam, just ask yourself a couple questions. Fathers are role models. You feel like you're a role model for your daughter?
Yeah.
Fathers are important to provide approval to their growing daughters. They crave positive affirmation. You give your daughter positive affirmation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fathers are pivotal for setting boundaries and providing safety and structure, especially during adolescence. You feel like you're stepping into that?
For the most part. Some work needs to be done around structure.
Okay. Fathers instill values. Do you teach your daughter your values?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fathers address difficult topics about things like body image and relationships.
Yeah, I'd hope for more opportunity to do that with her. talking to a teenager can be difficult in that way.
For sure. Absolutely.
She
Brannon
certainly
and I are in that.
Yeah, I think she trusts her mother more than she does
Yeah.
me, but I still offer it up to her that she can be vulnerable.
Yeah. Navigating media, helping your daughter know how to navigate media properly.
Work needs to be done.
That is a hard one.
That one's brutal. Nonstop.
Yeah.
Staying involved, never giving up on the relationship. How are you doing with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Teaching resilience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Offering love and guidance.
Yep.
So you're killing it as a father then.
Yes, you can say I'm killing it.
with a few places
I'm not doing too bad of a job.
With a few places of room for improvement and a continual sort of cultivating of those things, you're already stepping into that role. And that's what matters more than even your relationship with your ex. Your relationship with your ex can enhance that if you guys can figure out, I'm talking on both sides, how to get your own pride and pain out of the way and make sure that the focus is on raising an awesome daughter.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I love you, man. I love your heart. I love your goodness. I feel so grateful that years ago we somehow stumbled into a conversation together. I love being surrounded by men who take seriously what it means to be a father. And I love that you even were willing to come on the show and talk about it today.
I appreciate it. I respect both of you guys so much. Not just respect. I love each one of you, And hopefully we can do a UFC fight together.
That'd be fun. We gotta get together. We got to get together on a Saturday night.
Maybe I'll have you up to watch Sandhagen take the title when he fights here in a few months.
Adam will probably be there.
Pay-per-view, so Actually, I didn't watch Poirier and Holloway. I've watched them fight too many times. I was
that was a great fight, man.
Sure, it was good. A good fight.
I watched that too.
Seen them. I've seen Poirier fight live. When he came to Salt Lake and all that stuff. So, anyways, but it would be a lot of fun to do a live UFC event, even if we had to go to Vegas.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Or we just get some wings and hit my basement up,
I think you guys should reach out to Dana White on behalf of men in your group and see if he'd get us a whole section for the Rising Suns.
Oh, I like that idea.
There we go. Yeah. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just you got him on speed dial, right, Tyler?
Yeah, I'll dial up Dana White.
All you got to do is hit him up on Instagram. Doesn't he post himself all the time?
I think he does.
Maybe, yeah. So, all right, Adam. Appreciate you. Really appreciate you. And any last things that you want to say, or?
No, I think. Well, I do. Not no. I always appreciate how you both bring it back to what's important. Right. I think when I got out of the call, where I've been has been lost in, the relationship with my ex versus what was important is the relationship with my daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And to look at how I'm setting my boundaries. Right. Brandon, you bringing up the fact that I still have to hold the boundary, but in a way where I still offer myself up to provide a resolution to what we're really trying to do. And that's to, raise a strong daughter.
Absolutely. And the two of you, I'm, your ex, I don't know her. I've never met her, but she's got goodness in her and she's a good person. And the two of you can co-parent together and do an excellent job at what you just said. It's possible. So, thanks for coming on, Adam. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
If this was helpful, please let Adam know. Leave a review and mention him. And till next time, keep on keeping on.